Hello! Yeah, this video was supposed to come out yesterday, but I had problems with recording, so I just decided to wait till today. We're doing the exact same thing. Yeah, as you can probably tell, this game is called Amazon Ascension. Don't expect this to become something new on the channel. It's just kind of more of a review, because I don't really see much on this game, and it's a pretty good game if you like a survival game spaced around animals. So basically, yeah, we got the Ascend mode, but we got free play here. So if you don't want to go through that, if you find it too difficult, I would say if you're trying to learn the game and how to play, start in the free play before going to the Ascend mode. Mostly because this has some of the things has most of the things up to tier 6 in the Ascend mode. With the basic ones at the top. We'll get into that later, like the Dwarf Cannon, and then they're free to play. Hey, but once you're feeling adequate, go into here. I've already got my first slot filled out. We're gonna play the Black Cayman, which is what I made this line for. Because the model and coloring design here is very close to alligator. Which in reality, Black Caymans are just slightly larger black American alligators. Alligators has a few different things about them that are exclusive to the Caymans only. So we're actually gonna go on the Spectacled Cayman to show you the tree. If you menu or die, we'll get into that later, but you could see here, if you menu one of the creatures to return back to the menu, you will be locked out of that specific animal for 20 seconds, which isn't really that bad. Don't really understand why there's one at all, considering you menued on purpose. But yeah, here's the Spectacled Cayman. Here's the little guy. You have your actions here. You can make to do different things on land. With these caimans, you can use the tail slap, but this is your manic attack. Eating, drinking. If you're in the water, you can run. All these are up your balls. The lime green one is your health. That's just a percentage of the green box down here. You got your food, which is the kind of purplish pink colored one. You got your blue one, that's water, and then the yellow one's obviously your energy. But yeah, you can't jump in any of these crocodiles, not even the Dwarf Cayman, but what it is there for is when you are swimming, you can press this button, if it would let me. I guess it's not going to let me. But pressing this one where the tail slap was, so it's upside down jump button, yeah, that allows you to dive, and this one goes you up. But if you're in the water, yeah, like this, then you don't have to use those, as they'll just go wherever you're looking. You can also run in the water, or if you're a semi-aquatic or an aquatic animal. It's pretty fun. Then we got your Ascension. Oh, I don't think I can get to the Ascension anymore. Yeah, but basically they have an Ascension on this giant tree, which looks to be similar drawn to the actual models of the trees in the game, to the large ones, which is actually kind of neat. At first, you go through tiers 1. You start at tier 1, and then you go up to tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, then tier 5. Maybe I can try and get to the, I guess I'll just go here to see it out. Yeah, but it's in this little thing, right above menu. You got tasks to make points. Start at tier 1, then you go to tier 2, then you go to tier 3, tier 4 where you get your first bird for 100 points, tier 2 is 50, tier 3 is 80, then you go to tier 5, I'd say, which is for 120, go for the bird, go for the Spoonbill, I guess. I think that's what it's called. Go for that. Flying's pretty good. Because you can easily escape. Because we'll get into this more later. When I actually review what I'd like to see changed, maybe for quality of life or just some fun, and then other stuff that's just for funsies. But yeah, if you die, you will lose progress. Then we go up to here on the Dwarf Cayman, which costs. Then for me, I went up to the Dwarf Cayman, and then to the Spectacled Cayman, and then to the Black Cayman. This costed 140. This was 170. This guy was 400. And this guy is 200. I don't know if that's the same for all of them. But if I went to another one, I'd probably go get the otter, then the puma, and then get to the jaguar. I know you may think, considering my channel's kind of branded around lions, that you'd think maybe lions are my favorite animal, but they're actually not. But yeah, that title goes to the crocodilians. If you don't know what a crocodilian is made up of these 5 animals. The two most famous groups are the crocodiles and the alligators. You can tell the difference you probably could just find it on YouTube, but if you don't want to waste the time, crocodiles have pointed V-shaped snouts, while alligators have rounded U-shaped snouts. Then you got the caimans and the gharials. Gharials are the weird ones that kind of look like modern-day Sarcosuchuses, though that is completely divergent evolution. I think that's what it would be, divergent evolution. Basically, whatever version of evolution is where two animals of two different groups look the same, but aren't really related. Because if you didn't know, Sarcosuchus, not Super Croc, because it's not even a crocodilian, it's a crocodiliform. So it's not a true crocodilian. Like a gharial or an alligator is. But a gharial looks very similar, though the Sarcosuchus does have a few differences. Like the snout, while being basically made of basically paper thin, it's not like it's paper thin and like gharials, because they're basically like little cubes with like zipper lock teeth. Because that's good for them since they primarily eat fish like a Spinosaurus would. So that really thin snow helps them be able to have minimal water resistance, just to help keep their speed. And then, but Sarcosuchus does have has a wider jaw. Also, that bulbous on the end of Sarcosuchus' mouth, it does run skull deep and is most likely not sexual dimorphism. Unlike that little bulb on the top of some gharial snouts. If you do know about the gharial and that little bulb and you're confused on why some have it and some don't, no, it's not a different species of gharial, though. Oh, we do have the false gharial, but that is, even though, call him the other gharial, because really, the closest related thing to the false gharial is the actual gharial. But only males have that bulbous, females don't. Unlike in Sarcosuchus, where that's probably not likely, unless we're just highly unlucky to not find any female specimens. Also, Sarcosuchus could only reach 30 feet long. But the reason Sarcosuchus probably had a slightly wider jaw was because of the fact that it also would hunt small land prey. But primarily would still hunt fish. So, and caiman, well, they're basically just alligators. But with alligators, they do have a slight dip in from their skull and their actual from their head and snout. Well, I guess what you could say is maybe their facial area and their snout. But they have a little dip in, but otherwise, they have a little dip in, a very not really that noticeable one. From the side view, you wouldn't even tell it's there. You can only tell it's there if you're looking from the front. But caimans don't have that, or at least or at least pretty much reduced, or at least highly reduced. Just because I can't see them on frontal views from black caiman. Also, their snouts seem to be thicker, or more like taller than alligators or crocodiles, they do have an arc, but it's kind of a small one. They're not really that tall, like thick isn't like tall, like they're not that tall. Well, unlike caimans, which they do look pretty tall. Also, yeah. Also, black caiman are all black, like alligators, and also slightly bigger. Being about the average male black caiman is 550 pounds and 11.5 to 13 foot long. The average male alligator is 11 to 12 foot, though I have heard, not seen that some people actually refer their average size as 12 to 13 foot. But no matter what, about 500 pounds on average, so slightly smaller than a black caiman, which, if you didn't know, is the largest, just of not only the caimans, but the largest alligatorid. But there is one thing I'd like to say: an adult black caiman is too big to be attacked by the things that normally they get crapped on for not being able to attack, for being killed by, like a jaguar. They're just simply too big and too dangerous. In fact, the rare case on when a jaguar even attacks and eats a black caiman, spectacled caiman and dwarf caiman, yeah, that's a different story. But a black caiman, that's kind of rare. And when they do, it's normally on a younger individual. And not a larger individual. Also, if you go into controls, you can actually see what your animal eats. And yes, I don't know how accurate it is, but considering that other crocodilians will eat other species, that I have heard that even caiman aren't safe from other caimans, so that speckled and dwarf caiman as part of your diet, I could see that being real. Also, yeah, well, that's really it. So now we're going to go into the other part, where I just basically kind of talk over what ones I'd like to see he change for kind of quality of life updates. Say if this game is still being updated, and just some own personal stuff that I just think would be fun. But I am gonna menu for a quick piece. So, when I mentioned that when you die you lose progress, well, that's not necessarily true. Well, you do indeed, yes, you do lose progress. Once you reach to the max tier, so in this case, the black caiman, you can do what they call locking. But, as you can see here, if you lock it, that means, while you won't lose or gain any progress, it will lock you out of playing it for a much longer time than it would be to just simply re-get the creature. Well, for me, I would rather just wait a while, since you don't have to be playing the game for that timer to go out, which makes sense. Or if it just immediately cancels out. But how long that timer is, it's an hour. It's an hour, which I'm pretty sure they are doing that, so you can't just go spawn kill people. Or, well, not spawn kill, revenge kill. But I think maybe something like only like a minute would probably be enough. because, and now that's a minute, or maybe a minute and a half, 2 minutes. That's plenty enough time, and for you to move away from where you were, so they can't immediately get you. And I don't know, and I'm pretty sure, if you die, you don't spawn in the same place where you died. Now, if you menu, or if you buy a new creature in the ascend mode, you will spawn where you last were. Or in the ascend mode's case, you can also choose to spawn somewhere else, or to stay where you are, which has led to pretty funny scenarios where I was a bird, was a dwarf caiman, I died, I went up in a I went back to the bird, had gotten it, and got up into a tree. You need to do one of the missions where you rest for 30 seconds, and then I unlocked a dwarf caiman again, and then I said no, so I was a caiman up in a tree. And if you also don't know, you will gradually over time gain 5 points, by just doing nothing. But I would still recommend doing the missions if you don't want to sit there for a while. To help speed it up. But yeah, that's basically which I like the locking feature. Is it perfect? I'd say no, but it's better than having to redo everything all over again. Now, here's an example of how much progress you lose. So I was on the Spectacled Caiman, and I had 198 points. This was all yesterday. And so I was attacked by a jaguar, was restrained, and barely was able to escape once, and then I got caught again and escaped again, got caught again. I kept trying to run away, but every time I would, I'd just get caught. And I died. So not only did I lose the Spectacled Caiman, I could have just rebought the Spectacled Caiman, but no, because, that 198 points, that was cut down to 30. Maybe it's just a skill issue on my part, but that was really frustrating. I would like to see, knowing that they have this lock feature. Initially, I was just thinking maybe remove that. Just completely remove that. Move the, where you lose progress. But now I'm thinking maybe instead of just removing it, maybe just change it so you don't lose your animal, but you just lose like 50 or 75% of your points. Since that would, still be annoying, and probably still keep people from just going out and trying to kill as many people as possible, even though you still don't make points off of killing people, unless you get the mission where you have to kill somebody, and then you get rewarded based on what you kill when you're like a Spectacled Caiman. Unless you're in that, then you don't get rewarded. So it still prevent So I think that gaining 5 points gradually is kind of just a little reward for surviving just a little bit longer, which I like. That's actually kind of fun. That you don't have to necessarily do the missions, you could just play the game regularly, while still gaining points. Also on private servers, you can play everything for free. I would like to maybe see, since unless they change you have to actually pay a certain amount a month of Robux. You have to pay 50 Robux. Granted, Robux, I don't really care much for it, but it is annoying a little when your servers go down. And I say, if you're gonna have us have to pay Robux, like 50 Robux especially, or more, to have a private server, for not give us the full game, then just give us the full game, or Or maybe maybe they don't want you to have the full game in Ascension, so you can't just grind through the Ascension mode on like an alt account or with a friend, and then just go through it easily. And I understand that, so in that case, I would suggest, how about still giving people those 5 points for surviving just a little bit longer, but instead, like, making the timer between each time you get them like twice as long, or just giving only like half. But considering they give you 5, then making it a decimal would probably be a bit annoying and hard to maybe work out. Just probably increase the time by half. So while you're still making also no missions, and still keep the ascending mode completely out. No, it's completely out. So yeah, just keep that out, but just give them like 5 points for every twice as long as they survive. So you can still make stuff, which goes directly to your points, even while still everything's free. But one, it's not as slow. But one, you can't do missions, which really helps you, which really makes it just a lot faster. And even if you were just willing to rely on just surviving, then it would still be just much slower than going to a regular server and doing that. Yeah, which is probably what I would suggest. Or, if you don't want to do that, just make them like 10 Robux, or just make it outright free. Because at that point, I'd understand. But my main problem here is dying when you're on Ascension mode, which I've already talked about. Probably just cut the amount of points in like 50, reduce their points by like 50 or 75%. Then lock them out of that creature for 20 seconds. Or maybe half of whatever the time is for when you die and your thing's locked. So yeah, just do that. And then when you lock, make it only like a minute and a half, maybe 2 minutes. And it's also that thing where you saw that little box. I would like to see that kind of removed. Less of making the game, kind of making it more realistic. Now, what you saw is that, like, fish. Yeah, to have that when I'm a black caiman, the largest predator in the Amazon. And that makes sense that they would kind of be restrained. But with a jaguar, if this is supposed to be the size of an adult caiman, which I don't know why it wouldn't be, at that point, a jaguar is too small to be able to actually attack an adult caiman because they're just too big. I mean, they can attack them, but restraining them like how they do with the smaller individuals or smaller species of caimans, they can't do that because they're just so huge. A jaguar is only about 210 pounds. The average male caiman is over 500, with the largest ones reaching 20 foot long and 1,000 pounds. Making this the average sized caiman makes sense. But, so I'd like to see that with things like between the large top tier predators. So like, so if I was a black caiman, I can't restrain a jaguar, and a jaguar can't restrain me. Also, maybe this is more of just a fun little change, not really something necessary. That little yellow bar, basically how you do that is so if you are on my end, and I would want to land closer to that yellow bar to be able to keep them restrained and do damage to them. Well, they would want to get closer. Well, if you were on that fish's end, on that fish player's end, you would want to get closer to that yellow bar to be able to break free and then run away. But also something I like to do, if you're playing something like a crocodilian, especially a black caiman, well, you definitely have the health to be able to tank a jaguar, and then break free and then hit them and attack them. But if you're doing it, don't go too far inland, if you're by yourself at least. You should stay close to the water, because the closer you are to the water, the less time you need to be able to get to in your home, to where you'll have a home advantage over your opponent. And now if you're not alone and you have a group of friends, then that's a different story. Of any animal, not just other caiman or people you're interacting with, and go right ahead, go inland, go as far inland as you want. Like, you could be at the shoreline, and we have this map, you can show your location names and whatever, that's a fun idea. You can go up to the plains, which is in, the middle of the island, which is in the middle of the map. Go as far as inland as you want, because your buddies can protect you, and just protect each other while you're doing that, so nobody dies, except for the person who attacked you. But now let's get into some of the just stuff I'd like to see. So, this is Game Pass. So in the Ascension mode, there is a Game Pass, for the Bull Shark, where even if you do own the Game Pass, you'll still have to unlock it in the Ascension mode. Which, while Bull Shark may not initially make sense, if you know the Amazon, and then or read the Game Pass description, then you'll know that the Bull Shark sometimes visits the Amazon. But not often. So making it a Game Pass is sort of a novelty item. I agree with. But in the terms of Game Passes, there are 2 Game Passes I would like to see. That don't just relate to that are related to unlocking a specific animal, and not like a variation of an animal, like the melanistic jaguar. So I would like to see maybe exotic animals, a Game Pass with exotic animals only, or animals that don't belong to the Amazon. This would include American alligators, some kind of crocodile, maybe an American crocodile, since there are American crocodiles who do get into the Amazon. So if you want to go based off what would most likely probably be able to be found in the Amazon, you'd probably want to use an American crocodile, since those have a lot wider range than the American alligator, which you can't find in much past Mexico. They only really inhabit Southeast America, U.S., not anywhere further, unlike the American alligator, which you can, or maybe a Cuban crocodile would be fun. Or maybe the Cuban crocodile with another one, since the Cuban crocodile isn't that big, especially compared to something like a saltwater crocodile. So if you want to go logically, I would say probably go with an American crocodile, since you would probably see one of them. And there's already a model in game that I think is supposed to be a crocodile, because it doesn't look like any of the in-game caimans, so just use that model and make that officially an American crocodile. Or you can maybe just make a generic crocodile. Doesn't really serve all crocodiles. Or if you want to go with a famous crocodile, go maybe with a saltwater crocodile. Although, again, I would maybe just say, probably just go with the American crocodile. Since it's not, like, so huge and so powerful that buying this Game Pass would make anyone who plays the saltwater crocodile very powerful. So go with the American crocodile most. So I'd like to just say American crocodile, and maybe just some of its skins can be just to make it look like some of the other crocodiles. Maybe not in design wise, but change its color. So maybe a crocodile, or maybe even change the skin then. But I'm really just mostly asking for just color wise, not really model wise. The color-wise is completely fine. And speaking of American alligators, I like to see them in the Game Pass too. All you'd have to do is basically just take the Black Cayman model, make it slightly smaller. Make it slightly smaller. And then remove this piece up here. This is piece where the eyes are. For Cayman, yeah. That's good enough for Cayman. For an alligator or a crocodile, remove that. Then get something else. Also, make the eyes a bit smaller than that. Make the eyes smaller with small little bumps that house the eyes, like you see in alligators and crocodiles. Basically, for the crocodile and the alligator, all you have to do is take the Black Cayman model and either make it slightly bigger or slightly smaller. For the crocodile, you'll want to make it green and make the face narrower. And for the alligator, make it slightly smaller. And really, also maybe change its color. Make it change its color. We're to a gray instead of this dark gray or black. This is closer to a dark gray. All the ones that you see with default in the name, default 1, default 2, default 3, default 4, those are free. I'm just using the one that suits my needs the best, which is for my character, Allie, a 300-pound, 9.5-foot long female alligator that I made. Who is a dark gray. This is the closest I could get to her. Because I haven't probably all the skin. So maybe an alligator. I'm not maybe saying make Allie. No. Maybe this is something I just thought about. But basically, all you have to do is make it gray, and that's it. And make it slightly smaller. Where you don't even have to change the eye pitch to make it look more like whatever this is, instead of what this is. That's all you have to do instead of this actual sort of head. That's the Cayman, what I call the Cayman head. Considering it has more of a actual forehead head instead of a little bump, instead of the little eye crevices. This is on the alligator and crocodile heads and even gharial heads. You can add those to the model if you want, but I wouldn't say they're 100% necessary. I'd just say more color. So like the American crocodile, so the American alligator would be slightly smaller and a regular gray. And maybe one of the skins could be dark black alligator, or maybe dark gator. Dark gator. Oh, it looks dark gator. And it uses the same colors as the default 3 Black Cayman skin. Since alligators aren't black, they look black when wet, but naturally the darkest color they'll be is a dark gray, which almost looks black, but isn't black. But when wet, it does. But when they're wet, they do look black. But I'm not also going to ask for the wet for making you color changing with it. Nah, it's perfectly fine. You know that. Game doesn't really need that. So yeah. And also, maybe other animals, but really those are the only two I think that I really want. Except for the leopard. I was gonna initially maybe suggest a lion, but a leopard is basically a downgraded jaguar. I would also like to note, so now you have in the Ascent mode, you'd have two different tabs. Oh yeah, Dwarf Cayman. It'd have two different tabs. You'd have two different tabs. One for the basics and then one for the game pass. One for free and then one game pass for the game passes. Game passes would work in the fact that you can go that you do missions, but you don't have to play a specific animal. You have to buy the game pass, and instead of getting them for free, you also have to then unlock them, but they're a lot cheaper than they would be on the other ones. So, but you can play any animal, you don't, and you'll just doing missions. You can just spawn as any animal you own from Ascension mode or in free play, and you can do missions and will basically just act like Ascension mode, but without playing the More. And then, this is where the fact where I was hinting at earlier, but maybe just a for fun game pass you can buy if you want to, but not really gonna give you anything besides a coloring game pass where you can make your own custom design for an animal that you can use. Which for me would be the alligator. Yeah, then I could make Allie. But yeah, that's really it. And just simple run it down for the updates. Alligator, slightly Cayman model, just slightly smaller and gray. Maybe a dark gator skin, where it uses the same color as the default 3 gator. As a default 3 skin for the and then the crocodile has a thinner head with everything else the same, but like a kind of green, and maybe slightly bigger or the same size. Probably around the same size. Really, they're all just the same size, just different colors. So, and I would like to see that the alligator is slightly smaller. Or maybe if you just want to use the same size, since their average size for the males are slightly smaller, or all around the same. Maybe for the crocodiles, you don't have to do anything there. But maybe add the little lumps, the eye lumps as I call them, instead of having the Cayman forehead. And remove the Cayman forehead and replace them with the eye lumps, so you can tell. And then everything else is the same except for the colors. Whereas unless you're on the crocodile, then you also have the Then you also have the, and then with the color one, you can just make it any color. You can take it, you can go, add it as a, skin, as a blank page in the, where you're going to, when you go to select an animal, where you can just select their skin. can go there and just add one that's blank, and then you can add your own custom as long as you have that Game Pass. And then there you go. That's some and then yeah, and also the things I was talking about earlier, like the cooldown reduction on locked ones is only like a minute and a half, 2 minutes, because I think that should be enough to allow people to be able to move away. And if you don't move by once you have like a minute and a half, 2 minutes to be able to move away, so you don't get revenge killed. Although a lot of people, unlike in other games on Roblox, I see when I die or when I kill someone, I've never seen a single spot where someone came and revenge killed me. Maybe I'm wrong, because you can't really tell who's who. But, so, I think 1.5, 2 minutes should be enough. And then on, when you die in an animal in Ascension mode, you keep the animal, but you're locked out of it for half the amount of time and you are when you die in a locked animal. So if it's 2 minutes, you have only 1 minute. And you lose 50 to 75% or half to over a core. I have to 50 to 75% on your amount. But you keep the animal, and then everything else stays the same. Also, with these things I said about the private server, though, that's not really necessary. It is kind of annoying, but I mean, it's not killing anything. So, that's just kind of something I'd like to see, but isn't really necessary. I think that would make the game better. Since it's not really particulating to the game that much. And then all the things with the exotic Game Pass with the alligator, crocodiles, and then the color changing one. Well, that's it. I'm gonna stop rambling. Goodbye. Have a good day.